We are heading in to what feels like the ticket matchup of the day here, Foxtrot. The LFL versus the Ultra League. This was the rivalry of 2020 in the European Masters, all starting way back in spring 2020, where we had that finals matchup between Kick and LDLC. That rivalry coursed through to the summer, and now we're going to find ourselves in a matchup reviving it again. Misfits Premier versus AGO Rogue, the defending champions, and a really interesting little bit of information. Completely useless, but interesting nonetheless, Foxtrot. This is the first time that two previous champions have faced each other in a subsequent European Masters. So we've got two European Masters champions facing against each other. It's the first time we have ever had that in the history of European Masters.
Yeah, Misfits 2019 spring and Rogue were 2020 summer. Yeah, that's true, actually. I mean, and there's good reason why these teams won in the first place. Like, they're just, the regions themselves are really strong. I would say from recent history, I think Poland and France have been the strongest regions in EU Masters. And it's just going to be a good matchup here between these two teams. Two ADC sister teams as well. Two teams with very different styles. We'll explore a little bit more as we get into game, but so far we're going to have a Syndra ban and a Thresh ban over from the side of Jactroll. That's no real surprise. Even when Jactroll was playing in the LEC, he was known as a very good Thresh player that gets banned quite a lot against Misfits.
Yeah, and there are some incredible players on both sides of this roster. Agresivoo is known quite well. He was one of the big players in the spring 2020 European Masters. Shlatan as well. Woolite, a previous champion with AGO Rogue, I believe. So, you know, he's already, yeah, I think he was on the AGO Rogue roster until December 2020. So he was on the AGO Rogue roster in 2020 as well. So a lot of players that have either been in the European Masters at the very high levels, or previous champions, and more like used to be on AGO Rogue. So there's loads of little ties that make this matchup super interesting as we head through the ban phase here as well. Syndra, Kai'Sa, and Silas taken off the board. Thresh, Tarn, Kench. Big support focus towards Jactroll here for Misfits Premier.
Yeah, and Seraphine, most likely there she is going to be the last ban here, so not going to be able to first pick that one away. Seraphine is just pretty grim, so you just take that one away, no problem. Tristana, very powerful pick right now in the current meta, and also great. Lika's already played Tristana, so great in his hands, good in Woolite's hands, and you can actually flex it as well into that mid lane too. So we'll see what they decide to do with this Tristana pick. And as a response here, Rogue looking to get some power picks of their own. Both Hecarim and Udyr are up. Two of the strongest junglers right now on this patch. It's going to be Hecarim for Lurox, opting into the horse rather than the fake there.
Yeah, no jungle bans coming through does mean that we pretty much have the S tier junglers available. Chres is going to take the Orianna mid, as you said. Super high priority on Orianna in the mid lane right now.
And Orianna, Syndra are both Chres's and Sertuss' most played champions, so they're both taken off the board now. Obviously, Chres is going to be able to play one of them, but we'll have to be searching pretty deep in Sertuss' pockets here to get a champion that isn't one of his two favorites. It is the Udyr for Shlatan. I talked about how we have a lot of good Lee Sin players in E-Masters from the last game when we actually saw Lee Sin. Shlatan he's top-notch. He's a top-notch Lee Sin player, but Udyr, not quite Lee Sin. Not quite as exciting to watch either, but it's still pretty strong, so I can't blame him for picking it up in this game. It's going to be that Rell lock-in, and to be perfectly honest, I would not be surprised to see the Alistar response, because not only is it great into Rell, but it is Jactroll's on the other side, but it is one of the favorite champions from Pyrka as well.
Yeah, and it's one of the standard responses, although saying that AD carries are still left on the table, and one of the great ways of avoiding CC is having an AD carry that can do that automatically, and Xayah will get locked in. Now, this now offers up the opportunity for Misfits Premier. Do they want to start banning away some of those supports? Looking like we're losing some mid lane champions, with Sertuss obviously being both Agresivoo and Sertuss being great Akali players, and that's taken off the board here for AGO Rogue.
See where they decide to go right here, because if they are going to keep banning mid laners on the side of Rogue, then it's the assumption that Tristana will be in the bot side, which I think is a fair assumption. I think most times it does go in bot, but you know, it is technically a flex, so it is something that you can do if you fancy it. The Alistar that I was mentioning, he's going to be taken off as well. Very good into Rell. Lovely pick here as well from the side of Rogue. Love to play that champ. He's not going to get that today. Neither Rakan as well. This is interesting here. So they're trying to get rid of the good pairings with Xayah and really get a positive bot side matchup, which I think really suits Misfits, because Woolite and Jactroll have been very, very good in this bot lane together. As far as the way the Misfits play, Woolite and Jactroll have the highest skill participation out of anyone on their team. So when stuff happens, it often happens around these two. So making sure they're in a good spot together with good matchup, I think makes a lot of sense here for Misfits.
We're going to see the same support matchup from the previous game, though, with the Braum locked in here for Pyrka. And now we'll see where Misfits Premier choose to round out their comp. They have their top laner and their mid laner. Now, they're picking their mid laner into the Orianna. They know what they've got to deal with, but it will be a blind top lane pick for Agresivoo. I would not be super surprised to see something like the Renekton. It's something that he plays incredibly well. And we know it's a pretty solid blind pick in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah, we see a lot of those
Gnar,
last rotation. Huh?
Or the Gnar, sorry, actually, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I was gonna say a lot of these picks here, but I honestly don't think Renekton's a terrible shout either. If nothing else, it's more like of an Agresivoo style champion. But it is you can't run, you can't hide. Gnar's gonna come out of the woodwork somewhere, and there it is. There's the blind Gnar, which does give that counter pick over to Sinmivak here in that top side. Now he played really well. So far he's played really well in EU Masters, and so giving him this counter pick I do think has some value here for Rogue. Now, I'm really curious though just to decide where they want to go with it, because you can go something really ballsy here,
or you could just pick Sion.
I was hoping maybe we get something like the Jace or something really exciting. It's great for the lane, gives great lane prio. We'll just pick Sion instead. If he gets a quadra kill like last game, then maybe he is still an aggressive carry champion. Maybe.
I just think the Sion fits better, because you want that guy to just sit there tanking while you have the Xayah, the Orianna, and even the Hecarim dishing up damage in the team fights. I think if you had the Jace, you're kind of coin flipping lane a little bit. You're saying, can I get ahead in the laning phase, and can I put enough pressure in the side lane? I love the spice of the Jace, but it's one of those picks that if you get to 15 minutes and you haven't done anything, it doesn't really feel like a great pick at the end of the day. Whereas I know with Sinmivak here, he can essentially just say, cool, I'm just going to just farm waves. I'm not going to kill the Gnar. I'm going to weather the storm. But when it comes to the late game team fights, that's where we're really going to pop off. And I think when you look at the comp that AGO Rogue have drafted, they have that timer in their favor. Like they have that sort of 30-minute timer in the game where you think 3 items on your carries, things are starting to look a little dire for Misfits Premier. But that is interesting, because that is kind of the two styles that these two teams are bringing to the table here.
I think both teams as well, we should get a lot of fights in this game, because a lot of these teams bring similar things to the table as far as their comps go. I do think that, as you mentioned, Rogue, with their scaling, have a slight advantage from that front, and also just their, the team fight tools from an Orianna compared to a Zoe, is also in Orianna's favor. But still, like, you can group up pretty nicely with the Gnar, get that Mega Gnar going through. You've got two junglers that want to do similar things. We might see a little bit more of like an early focus towards the objectives from the Udyr, which is pretty standard Udyr stuff. But anytime that you have Woolite on Tristana, I think Tristana is like the Woolite champion, by the way, because Woolite is honestly, he's so good, especially at this level. Like, he's constantly popping off. He's one of the best regional league AD carries that you can have, and he's been that way for a very, very long time. But the thing with Woolite, one of the criticisms of him is that he gets maybe a bit too aggressive. His positioning isn't like 100% at times.
Isn't that just a meme of Woolite though?
Well, so it's a meme, and then he does it. It's like anytime I mention this, I get criticized for it, and then in the very same game he'll jump in and die. So I don't know, but either way, let's just say it is a meme, okay? Tristana, he definitely has aggressive tendencies. I'll say that for sure. And Tristana can jump in and get a reset. I think it's just like totally the style of champion that Woolite loves to play.
I'm glad you mentioned Woolite though, because he has been, in my eyes, the most consistent ERL level AD carry of the last 3 years.
Yeah,
I genuinely think he's had that much presence in European Masters and has performed so well across the board. He's just been a very consistent player in that regard. Something that I wanted to touch on though, Foxtrot, and I know it's something that you brought up and wanted to talk a little bit more about, is that these two comps, you know, with this more early pressure from Misfits, they play into what we've seen from these guys in the European Masters so far in terms of how quickly they've executed on their win conditions in game.
Yeah, so Misfits and Rogue are two totally opposite sides of two completely different coins. Rogue have one of the slowest game times in EU Masters so far, and Misfits are one of the fastest as well. Like they play fast, they play hard. Something like their goal difference of 15 for Misfits is something like 7,000, like 6,500, something like that, which is ridiculous. Can you imagine that? Being 50 minutes into the game and being like 6k goal down, it's just absolutely absurd. Whereas Rogue, on the other hand, are actually in the negatives when it comes to their goal difference. So it's one of those things where these two teams just have completely different styles of play, with Misfits being much more early game focused and Rogue being more late game focused.
And that feels like a big stylistic challenge for Rogue coming into this game. You know, if Misfits execute on their early game plan where they're able to snowball games, you know, considerably well in the early game, Rogue may never get the opportunity to take this comp that is really designed to go a little later into the game and actually get there comfortably. So I think that's the main thing that I'm looking out for. Like if I'm just setting my expectations for this game, is how far can Misfits push Rogue before Rogue are able to bring this comp online?
Precisely, and Rogue, of course, will have experience dealing with that kind of pressure, however, so we'll have to keep an eye on seeing how these things develop as the game goes on. So we are seeing a little bit of early game focus. There's the Ghost, he's going in.
Yeah, Agresivoo actually charged back towards Sinmivak, taken down very low. Shlatan and Sertuss are here, but they will just back off.
Dude, Sertuss had a Shirelias for that play as well. I would have been so miffed if I was Rogue and I died because the mid jungle got a fast rotation because Zoe picked up Shirelias at level 4.
Jactroll going in permanently in this bot lane though, and you can see Pyrka taken down very low. FLICKR though trades back a huge amount of damage, and actually FLICKR is a carry that, although we talked about Woolite, I did want to touch on FLICKR specifically as well. He's been pretty solid so far. We talked a lot about SLT in the last game. FLICKR has had a huge damage share and a huge kill participation as an AD carry for AGO Rogue across their first 2 games in the European Masters in this group stage. And he has been, in my eyes, one of the main carries for Rogue in terms of getting their wins.
I think it's very fair to say that he has been the main carry for Rogue and is a big reason for their success, and also kind of their identity as a team for how slow their games tend to be, because FLICKR he's the best farmer that we've had so far in EU Masters. You know, you're seeing the damage stats and the kill participation. That's madness. That is. It's not quite 45% as SLT had from Big, but it's still definitely up there. And from an AD carry, you know, if your games are going long, you want an AD carry that can put out that damage. That you can put kind of some faith into him to carry you through those late games. And I think FLICKR's definitely a player that will reward you if you put your faith into him.
He is on a carry that can definitely do that, especially having the solo agency as an AD carry with the likes of Xayah can as well. So it's always nice to see you know, Xayahs that really pop off because they can be both aggressive and defensive with their ultimate usage and can really have a bit more agency than a lot of other AD carries can have in those messy team fights. Looks like Misfits are setting up for the first dragon though here.
Yeah, but just look at this bot lane. Look at this Diffy and the Biffy here.
Whoa, that's a lot of CS.
It's a lot of CS, and Tristana does make short work of plates. They've already got one. I'm pretty sure the next plate, yeah, that's not particularly healthy either. Like, man, having a strong bot lane in the current meta is just so valuable because it means you can unlock this dragon. And then dragon, if you do it consistently, you get like a 22-minute dragon soul, which is always like phenomenal. And in this game especially, it's going to be extra crazy because it's going to be guaranteed an infernal or an ocean soul. And those are the 2 best souls that you can really get your hands on, especially if you're looking to snowball a game. It's just looking really, like, already looking really good for Misfits for the start, and you always got to keep your eye. No, are they? Look at it. Just look at the pressure the Misfits put down in this bot side. How do you play this video game that is League of Legends if you are Rogue? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Sertuss just leaving lane to create natural pressure on FLICKR and Pyrka is enough for Woolite to step up and get more gold from those plates. Misfits just really playing the fog of war nicely here, just to allow Woolite that extra time on the Tristana to pick up as many early plays as possible. It doesn't matter if they take a couple of bad trades, because they're just all about shoveling gold onto Woolite as quickly as possible. And Shlatan's just, I mean, he's just walking into the enemy jungle. Sertuss is a level down on Chres, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Look at how aggressive Misfits Premier are. This is how they get their early leads.
And jungle diff is lane diff, mate. You know, every game is jungle diff and every jungle diff, lane diff. Look at that. Lurox has nothing to do here, but it's not his fault, necessarily. You know, he's playing versus an Udyr. It's a tough matchup, to be fair. But he's getting collapsed on by bot lane. He's getting collapsed on by mid lane. You know, like, he has to leave that. He has to run away in that situation. Like, it's a rock and a hard place. He can't... There is no good decision for Lurox there, except to make the least worst decision, which is what he's done. And that is going to put him behind. Like, he's not going to be happy about that. Udyr now just power farming the jungle. He's hit level 7, whereas Lurox just hit level 6. There is going to be a big difference right there. And I do think, you know, as this game goes on, especially if he can get some more of that lane push going in, that is going to benefit Shlatan massively. And, you know, it's why Misfits are so good in that early game. You know, they can get that lane pro and they can work through Shlatan.
I mean, to me, and this is coming from, you know, relatively lay level perspective, it just looks like Misfits drafted heavy prio lanes, permanently push, use that fog of war pressure to generate pressure in their other lanes, and suddenly they have like they have like rolling prio. Look at this is the early game stats that you were talking about. 6.8k average GG at 15 for Misfits Premier.
What is that, dude? That's just that. Okay, I know that's not a bug, but it looks like that's a bug on my screen. Like, maybe the decimal point is in the wrong place or something. I don't know. But 6.8k, incredible early games from Misfits Premier. And as we mentioned as well, like, Rogue just, you know, totally in their comfort zone right now, being behind early on. They don't mind taking their time, scaling into the game. But just, yeah, those stats really just tell a huge story by themselves. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing so far in the first 9 minutes of this game.
Yeah, and also, it's not worth understating a differential of 10 minutes in average game time as well. Really shows you how quickly Misfits Premier choose to close out or try to close out the games, and how like slow AGO Rogue are in terms of just taking the pace and the pace the way they want to. And this is what I mean by that stylistic difference between the two teams. Like, if Misfits Premier get that kind of lead versus AGO Rogue early on, can they even get to that stage in the game where they feel comfortable? Because I'm just not sure they can.
So here's what's interesting as well. Yes, those early game stats are very, very strong for Misfits. Like, there's no two ways about it. But don't forget, this team is 1-1. You know, like, they were really, really, really far ahead in their game yesterday and still managed to lose, right? So it's not like they're an infallible team by any means. You know, this is a team that gets those early game leads, and they've really now just got to focus on transitioning that. Because, you know, if there's a team that's going to be able to pick up your throws, it's going to be Rogue, you know, the team that loves to play from behind.
It's very true. And Rogue are 2-0 for a reason. You know, even though they're behind at 15 in both of their previous games, they are so good at weathering that storm and picking up the game when they need to pick it up, you know. So I think the pressure's on Misfits to perform. The pressure's on Misfits to make the plays in this game. Yeah, okay, they've generated themselves a small little lead of about 1,000 gold. Obviously not getting as much of a major lead as they did against their previous 2 games, at least not as of yet. But they have picked up the first dragon, and they have got the first Rift Herald too. So there is still time for them to accelerate this gold lead.
Exactly. There is time for it to happen. This dragon's going to be spawning in 20 seconds. You've got that mid push. You've got the bot push. This is just League of Legends macro 101 right here. There's nothing that Rogue are going to be able to do to stop this one from happening. We're even going to go for the bot. They're going to get this tower as well. Yeah, look at those plates. Of course, Woolite on the Tristana being pushing in all the time and having those bombs to chuck on the towers as well has been chunking down that tower massively. And there it is. It's generally going to get, like, I mean, that's not long for this world. Going to be able to pick up this dragon as well soon. And yeah, just big advantage. Ooh, it's a shockwave.
Sertuss just gets Stridebreaker there to just like dive away.
It's Protobelt.
Oh, yeah. Protobelt, yeah.
He's still got something to dive away with, yeah. Bloody sorry, honestly. Bloody hell.
The emote game from Shlatan, pretty strong. Couple of slightly missed smites against nobody. It's going to be the Infernal Soul. 3rd Infernal Soul in 3 games, by the way. Every single game has had an Infernal Soul on the table. I don't even know if we've ever had a game where the Infernal Soul has actually been taken, but it is an Infernal Soul that is being set up here for Misfits Premier.
You mentioned it, how Group A was spicy hot. We've had some hot Dragon Souls today. Infernal also has worked for all of the team comps that we're seeing too, so it's not just like it's out of place. Not that Infernal Soul is ever really too out of place, but you know what I mean. It has definitely been a sight for sore eyes in some of these games. And to be honest, you know, Misfits, they already have those two really early dragons. It's a very clear win condition right here. You know, like getting that Infernal Soul, playing towards that Infernal Soul. Like if we get this bot tower down soon, which should happen, it's only got one play left. You know, you then stick Woolite and Jactroll maybe in like the top side of the map, put mid wherever you want to put them, and then you can still work on some plays depending on how fast you can get the tower and bot. You know, it's you can really open up the map and just start taking control, start putting that vision down, and then make it even easier for you to secure those future dragons.
A little careful here, Woolite. Very aggressive lane position, but no one going to engage with him as Shlatan is here. They are really wanting this first tower of the game. Woolite should be able to take that with relative ease, although I say that Sertuss does get caught out by Lurox. He'll flash across the wall to keep himself safe, but now Rogue are able to secure that bot lane tower from going down with a lot of resources committed.
Seems as though Rogue may have jumped the gun a little bit here on this rotation, because Sion, okay, wait, they're not even going to dedicate into the Sion. That's interesting. So Sion walked bot with his ulti. I thought maybe he was trying to get there early so that then, you know, FLICKR and Pyrka could preemptively go for that top lane, like reset and run top lane, as they were maybe assuming that Misfits would do the same, and then they're just there to match it. But actually instead, Sion's going to take waddle his way back to top lane and not actually do anything bot side at all. So that's a bit of a whoopsie there from the side of Rogue. He does still have his TP though, fortunately. So if they do want to go for a lane swap at some point, he'll be able to do something there, get across the map even faster.
Second Rift Herald spawning relatively soon here. Shlatan just going straight into Lurox's face, just saying, this is my red buff now, as he gets the bear slap down. We'll smite that away as well. Hit level 10 off the back of it. I mean, Shlatan has got no chill in this jungle matchup at the moment.
Yeah, if you're playing Udyr, you really can't afford to have much chill. It's one of the champions I've always hated playing against in solo queue. Unfortunately, he's not really been that meta, so I didn't get to see him that much or play versus him that much. But he's such an obnoxious champion. He's really frustrating to play against if you're playing jungle, because it's like, it's not really a 1v1 thing. Like, sure, Udyr is annoying, he runs into your jungle, he takes your stuff, sure. But there are some ways that you can play against that. The problem is, Udyr requires help from your team, and that just feels awful. When you're playing solo queue, it just feels awful to have to like think about, okay, I'm gonna have to get my team in here, I'm gonna have to set my team up so that they can help me against Udyr, because we all know your team's not gonna help you, and then they're gonna cry and type jungle in the chat. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Sucker's getting a little bit engaged on there. It's going to be the ultimate from him.
How many, they are committing so many resources to prevent this first tower from going down. This is why Rogue, I think, are good at stalling the games out, because they do things that I think a lot of other teams just wouldn't, just to prevent those little tiny edges of gold going in the enemy team's favor.
Ooh, that is the recall there. I think Misfits saw that. If Misfits saw it, then they do know they have the number advantage. There are no plates anymore on towers, so towers do die pretty fast. Yeah, it's just air it. Oh, wow. Yeah, that was the AoE bomb from the bomb on Braum. Interesting stuff. Shlatan's going in.
Yeah, Pyrka should be able to get away, though, and Shlatan will just have to back off. We've got another dragon spawning in 50 seconds, and the Rift Herald is up on the top side of the map, too, should either team want to try and go for it. It's 15 minutes into the game, and it's about a 3.5k gold lead, so a little bit lower than Misfits Premier usually get in the European Masters, but we were expecting that versus a team of Ago Rogue's caliber.
The thing is, 3k gold is still significant, right? It's very telling that we're sitting here saying, oh, it's only 3,000 gold. That's not what Misfits normally do, but it's still 3,000 gold. Like, it's still an advantage. This dragon is spawning in 15 seconds. As we mentioned, that is going to be the clear objective for Misfits here, trying to bring this early game into a successful mid game. Take that dragon on spawn. Infernal Soul will be absolutely massive for this squad. But of course, Rogue know that as well, and they've dedicated all of their bodies down to here. Should get a big team fight.
I mean, we have mythics picked up on either side right now. I mean, there isn't a big mythic differential between the two teams, apart from the fact that we're seeing Essence Reaver versus Kraken Slayer from Woolite. FLICKR obviously going for the Essence Reaver pickup. Rogue are really looking to deny the second dragon, to deny that Infernal Soul and delay it out. And it looks like Misfits are not even going to bother going for the fight.
So they're going to trade the dragon for mid tower instead. I think, honestly, that's not too bad. I think as far as it goes, given that, oh, you know what? We're going to get a fight. That's what I thought.
The Braum ultimate comes through, doesn't quite land onto anyone, and Lurox does dive into Jactroll, who gets away, and now Agresivoo stunned up. Oh, he just turns into Gnar at the last moment, and the health will keep him alive. Rogue denied a kill by a millisecond, but they will not lose anyone in return either.
That was so close. Legit, the split second where he was going to go down, he turns into Gnar, flips out and gets that extra health. That fight could have been a lot worse for Misfits right there, because Chres still has his shockwave up, and Misfits were grouped together quite some time there. Now, I was a little bit nervous for Misfits, maybe the shockwave coming through, but at the end of the day, no kills going down. Just going to be a trade for that dragon for the tier 1 mid tower. Now, tier 1 mid is very important, but I wonder whether putting like more of a timer on your Infernal Soul win condition is worth dropping mid tower. I think honestly it probably is. It probably is. But it does mean, you know, if Misfits want to play for that soul, they're going to have to wait a little bit longer to do so.
I mean, look at what this mid lane tower has allowed them to do, though. They've got Shlatan taking away the Krugs. They're annoying Hecarim at his Raptors, and they can do this relatively scot-free because there isn't that mid lane tower to provide sanctuary for Chres in the mid lane anymore. And so that is one of the problems that you're going to have, just defending the jungle from Udyr. Like Udyr just walking in and stealing a couple of camps that can happen in seconds. That's what becomes more difficult now for Lurox, who is already starting to drop a little bit behind his counterpart in the jungle.
Sorry, I just want to give a little bit of love to Lurox because he has been bullied a lot by the Udyr, but I think this is an acceptable result, honestly.
Yes,
when you're behind as a team, and you don't have the lanes to necessarily back you up, and you do have this pesky little man, bear pig, whatever he's called, like running through your jungle, like to only be 20 CS down is totally fine, especially considering Hecarim's role in the team. I think he'll be relatively happy with that one. That's a lot of damage already onto FLICKR.
Yeah, they don't have the tower either. You can see the entire Misfits roster walking up. FLICKR, oh, he has to dance around the pool. He will get away with it, though. Jactroll looking for the engage. There comes the Magnet Storm. The Feather Storm not good enough, though, and FLICKR taken low. The first blood at 19 minutes into the game goes the way of Shlatan, and Woolite will pick up the second. Lurox eventually drops down. The Buster Shot almost saves his life. Oh, my word. I thought Woolite had done an upsy daisy, but he is not, and they'll drop the Rift Herald off the back of that as well. That may even be able to push on for a second charge on the inhibitor turret.
It most certainly should go in for the second charge right here. That's 3 deaths on the side of Rogue. Another tower in the top side. Getting that charge onto the inhib is going to be big. Having that inhib tower fall down early, Chres is in trouble as well, actually. I think he might just... Yeah, he's going to go down. Not long for this world either. Oh, is he?
Oh,
okay.
My word. I think Shlatan gave him a little bit too much leeway there. I think Shlatan was allowing him to try and give the kill over to the Gnar, maybe. But let's take a look at that fight again.
So FLICKR's already on half health right here because Woolite's done a lot of damage. But look at the position of this puddle. It is completely zones Rogue, which makes it so that FLICKR especially has to like walk a really long way around here. And when that happens, he's just in a bit of a pickle because the rest of Misfits can catch up to him, take him down. Look at this right here. So here comes the Buster Shot. What is it that actually kills him here?
Is it the red buff?
Oh, it's the red buff. He aggro's red and red bops him.
Oh, no.
Red bops him. Oh, my... No. Oh. Yo, even the jungle hates junglers. Everyone hates junglers. Oh, my goodness. Sweet goodness, no.
We talked about it just a second ago. Misfits Premier weren't really accelerating the game, but they suddenly have. Like, we're now 6,000 gold in Misfits pockets, and Rogue will really have to dig deep to get themselves into a later game stage where they're able to compete with the power of this Misfits roster right now. The next dragon spawning in 30 seconds. I don't think Rogue can fight for this. I feel like you have to give this one up.
I think it'll be very smart for them to give it up, but they can afford to do so because they took the previous dragon. This isn't sole point here for Misfits.
It would have been a 20. You're right. It would have been a 21-minute soul if Misfits had been able to get that. It would have been insane.
Yeah, it's really powerful. But even by giving up one of those dragons, okay, we're actually gonna go for the engage.
Oh, they are going. Oh, they actually get Woolite. That's a sick pick from Rogue. And now they're able to get onto this dragon, and this might be a really influential moment in delaying this game a little further for Rogue.
That is crucial. That is critical here for Rogue. Oh my goodness, like Misfits were on the cusp of being on Soul Point. Instead now they're tied on Dragons 2-2. And we know that Misfits, you know, as a team, very good early game. But Rogue is the one that likes to play for late game, play for these team fights, and has the aptitude to bring it home as the game goes on. That is so big. I can't overstate how important that is for Rogue right here. Woolite, I mean, that's just, I'm not quite sure how he managed to get caught in that position. I'm not gonna lie, but still, my goodness, that was a great pick right there from Rogue.
Hasn't won them the game, but it's bought them time. Like that, and time is what they need versus the comp that they're playing into. Shlatan just still being aggressive in the enemy jungle. I mean, you're still looking at a big gold lead for Misfits Premier. It's around 5,000, but looks like Misfits are going to say, okay, well, we're just going to go straight for Baron, try and sneak this one out. They have got a control ward on it. I don't think AGO Rogue really know about this right now.
They don't, and they've even used their blue trinket. Okay, they used a blue trinket in the top. Oh no, that was Misfits. Never mind, ignore that. It's gonna go down. I don't think Rogue.
Oh, he stole it! Oh, Chres! You can't get any better than that! AGO Rogue with a dragon take to deny the soul even further, and then a command attack steal, was it? Was that a command attack steal from Chres?
Oh no.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. Shlatan had been missing smites by about 20 HP on the dragons by himself all game. That curse has just hit him at the Baron.
Look at this. For those of you who don't know, Chres is the renamed Senkux right here, and he really is living up to the second part of that name against Misfits. He does it.
It's a dissonance. It's a dissonance.
Either way, that is just brutal right here. We talk about buying time. My goodness. Oh, legit. What was it, like 2 minutes? 2 minutes in the past right here. Misfits are in such a good spot. Going.
Oh, what the hell? FLICKR just got bopped. How did that even happen? The Maximus door comes through onto Pyrka, who's going to drop down as well. Sinmivak, I think, will be the next on the chopping block. How did he die? He had these bodyguards just beefing in front of him, and he still got absolutely obliterated.
I am at a loss for words in this. The last 5 minutes of this game have been something else, legit something else, and I don't have the words to explain.
Foxy, I've got the words. Foxy, what the is this game? Oh my God.
You couldn't have said it better myself, mate. That is exactly what this is all about. All right, Sertuss, mate. What is this? What happens? All right, it is the sleep, is the drowsy, but you've got two big boys blocking. How does that?
It gets it through. How do you get that through?
Yo, okay. 5K IQ play. He puts the paddle star to the side, jumps over from another angle. The team blocks where he jumped over. They don't block where the paddle star was thrown. That is a 5 million IQ play right there from Sertuss. That is actually really, really smart. And a beautiful class play there for Zoe, just doing Zoe things.
Oh my! I mean, this game is got everything. I mean, the two titans of the European Masters in the LFL and the Ultra Liga, they are the two most respected regions when it comes to power in this tournament, especially from the 2020 success of both of those regions. And this game is living up to it right now. Misfits Premier brought the fire out of the gate, but the AGO Rogue team able to just stall at every given opportunity. They find that angle to delay the game a little further, and it's still going. 25 minutes into the game. This is the time where I want to take a stock of those items, though, Foxy, because we talked about the 3 items really coming through for Rogue. That would be an area where their power would start to come online. It looks like we're almost there.
I mean, I just don't have words for the rest of this game. Like, when we talk about power levels, okay, we're talking about expectations. Things that we think will happen as time progresses, as we move further on into this game. Now, I don't know about you, but I could not have in a million years expected or predicted what we've seen so far in the last, like, 5-ish minutes. And my brain just cannot comprehend what's going on at this point. Yes, Misfits still have like a 5K gold lead. That is big. But Rogue have played it so well from behind here. And, you know, it really still is the pressure on Misfits to make it happen. But we can see they still have the opportunities to do so. They're still able to make stuff happen. And here it is.
Oh, Chres tries to go for Woolite. They actually mistimed their ultimates. There are 2 big ultimates now dropped for Rogue. I'm not sure that you need to fight this dragon. Like, you can take a breather here. You don't need to go for it, Rogue, but they look like they want to stay around. FLICKR is on the back line. He's going to get forced out with a flash now. Pyrka there as well. It is a big Sinmivak trying to buy time, but he will drop eventually. The first casualty goes over to Jactroll, and Rogue will be forced out of this pit. I don't think you fight for this dragon, Rogue. I think you give it over as the Drowsy does land. They are being boxed, hunted into the bot lane, and you can see that Sertuss is giving them nothing as they try to desperately escape. The rest of Misfits are hunting down Rogue now, and Sertuss the target. Onslaught of Shadows right onto the back line. Pyrka taken low. Woolite's damage is absolutely nutty, and Rogue can do nothing but go for the engage. They have to take the fight, and FLICKR goes forward onto Woolite and finds the kill. And now Shlatan dived away with the command shockwave. He will drop to Chres. Somehow Rogue finding anything out of the ashes here. They will eventually get cleaned up, but they got enough kills to almost make it worth it. A triple kill for Sertuss at the end of the day, but Rogue still hanging on.
Rogue hanging on. They did salvage a few things out of that play, but importantly, you know, Misfits picking up that dragon, getting the ace in the end as well, extending that gold lead. And this is it. So we're missing the important part of what's happened here is that we've already blown Braum ulti and Orianna ulti, which means that Rogue can't fight. Sion is dead because of that.
Oh,
and now
Pyrka kind of... Sorry, I was laughing because Pyrka kind of screwed FLICKR a little bit.
I didn't see that. What did he do?
He had the bomb on him and he jumped onto FLICKR's head. And
yeah, okay. I did wonder what happened a little bit there. Those health bars did kind of... But I mean, you know what? Pyrka here, there's one correct play right here, is to take that blast cone off the edge of the rift and just, you know, take the L. There, yeah, legit. That's what should have happened. That was the only correct play in that situation there. But yeah, oh man, Misfits, you know, still had that early lead and was still able to put the pressure on Rogue despite the stalling that Rogue's been able to do.
I think once you blew those big ultimates, you're correct. Like, you just don't fight that. It's not soul. Yep. I know it's soul point, but it's not soul. Yep. You can have an extra 5 minutes to breathe and get some item spikes. Like the Rabbas that's being built up by Chres right now. Like, wait for that. That's such a big damage spike for your Orianna mid lane. But Baron is being started. They've forced the hand. Rogue have to respond to this again.
Misfits, I think this time around will be respectful of the potential steal. Rogue have good... Okay, they're setting up for the engage. You can see anytime that shield goes on Hecarim, or on a shield sitting on Hecarim, you know what that means. It's a telegraphed. We're looking to go in here for Rogue. Not going to make it happen just yet. Going to get some recalls off, get the reset, sweep out of the vision, reset this all down. It will be the target of affection here for Misfits, this big purple worm. And Rogue are going to try and do their best to stop it. Honestly, though, I'm not 100% sure what they can do. Because anytime you're walking up, anytime you're walking into a Zoe, and that's what happens.
Oh, the stopwatch is big, and Sertuss will eventually get out of the Decimate as well. He's dipped, ducked, and dived his way through this fight, but Chres picks up the first on the back line. FLICKR's still going, but Misfits turn it on towards the end of the fight. Woolite has started resetting, started getting the kills, and now FLICKR is the last on the menu. Woolite gets a triple, and Misfits take over the fight.
30 minutes into the game, I'm not 100% certain if they can go for the end, but they do have very strong push with the Tristana. It looks like they're going to go for it here. We could see the end of this game. Misfits Premier 10 kills in the lead, almost 10,000 gold as well. They're going to break down this mid in here. Still a lot of time left. I think they can do it.
You're going to get the inhibitor down here. Woolite should get a lot of damage onto these towers. And I mean, Lurox is trying to desperately pull the minion wave away, but he can't do it. And there goes the explosive shot. They're going to get the first tower, but Pyrka is up. Unbreakable should buy them some time. And it is just an inhibitor loss at the end of the day. Rogue are still in this game.
They're in this game for another 1 minute and 15 seconds. That's when the dragon is spawning. Let's take a look-see here. Anytime you're chasing towards a Zoe, this stuff is going to happen, and it just sucks. It really sucks, but Sertuss plays this one phenomenally. He gets the Zhonya's to avoid the fear. Does the old puddle jump thingamajig to avoid the decimating smash as well. Chres's 3-man shockwave just isn't quite enough on the top side of this here. And yeah, Rogue have done a good job of stalling out, but let's not pretend like Rogue have like bullied Misfits at any point in this game. The only reason why they've been able to take dragons or take Baron is because they've been able to steal things or catch someone out of position. Misfits are still like massively ahead of this game. They always have been, and they're really just flexing their muscles in that last fight.
I don't want to paint the wrong picture for you. Like, Misfits have been in control pretty much the whole way through. They had a couple of slip-ups where Rogue essentially swindled the game back into their favor with a cheeky little Baron steal. Or, you know, an individual pickoff. But Misfits have always been the team that has been in control. And Shlatan's looking for the... He's looking for the flank straight onto FLICKR here, who gets taken down pretty low. The Feather Storm is there. Sinmivak taken low already as well. Chres forced to flush away. But look at Shlatan. He is like a shepherd boxing in the sheep. And Misfits are ready for it. But wait a second. Chres picks up a kill. Woolite's still going, though. Agresivoo on the sidelines. It's a 4-for-4 overall. And Lurox is still ready to fight. This is actually okay for Rogue, and they may even deny the dragon.
Sertuss has smite. He's picked up a smite if he fancies it. He's not going to go for it. Okay, third dragon going for Rogue.
Wait. Look at Woolite. Look at Woolite. They're gonna try and stop him. They're just going to try and stop him. They're going for the engage here. That's an immediate kill for Jactroll. And now FLICKR dives into the fight. He's going on to Agresivoo. He's trying to make the play while Woolite's going. Oh, the Gnar! It's huge from Agresivoo. And Jactroll gets the knock-up. FLICKR and Chres will finally be there. But Woolite's ending the game. Misfits Premier. What an ending. What an ending as the LFL pick up their second win in this group. And they tie it up with Ago Rogue and 2-1 apiece. That Gnar right at the end, dude. That was insane.
Mate, that ending was perfect for a game of that caliber. That was so exciting. I'm just going to go ahead and say that was the most entertaining game that I've seen so far in E-Masters. Between two of our top regions as well, two teams that we expect a lot from moving forward. Wow, that game legit had it all. It had the backdoor end, it had the Baron steals, it had the picks. It was, oh, mate, my heart. I'm
actually, my heart is like, it's beating out of my chest right now. That was insane. Like, it really could have just coin flipped there. Like, if that Gnar ult hadn't landed, they'd picked up the kill quicker. Maybe they could have got back to deal with Woolite. I don't know. But what a heads up play to just say, Woolite, go and do your job. We're just going to distract them with the TP and keep this fight going. It was really, really nice stuff from Misfits Premier. And I think they deserved the win after the way that they played the early game. We are going to take a much, much needed breather, and we'll see you back in a moment to break down that game.
I was driving late to feel the current running through your lane. I got no brakes, so keep the voltage flowing in my veins, my veins. Ooh, and I'm falling through flickering lights. I'm falling through flickering lights, yeah. Good things always happen after.
think my voice is still recovering after that game, Foxy. It had everything. I mean, we had the crazy early games, the Baron steals, the delays on the Dragon Soul. Aego Rogue were this close to really getting into the point in the game where their composition could take over, but Misfits Premier never let them quite have control.
Really, really impressive early game from Misfits. We tagged them as like the early game team. Rogue was the late game team, and it looked like Rogue had done a good job of sorting out enough to be the late game team to come into their own. But even when that happened, Misfits didn't really lose a beat, which is really impressive from them as well. And also, I think that marks the third game in a row where no Dragon Soul actually got taken down. Yeah, these are the team fights for Misfits where, despite the fact that Rogue were able to like steal some dragons at this point, get some catches, and put a bit of a delay on Misfits' game plan of getting that Infernal Soul. Oh my goodness, this is the red buff playing it. Bloody hell. Imagine that. That's a big old slap on the booty of the horse right there, and he's not going to be happy about that one. No, God!
It's painful to watch back, but you know.
Yeah, look where Sertuss puts his Q, and then he hops over at a different angle. You see that? You see how everyone's blocking him, right?
And the Everfrost as well. The Everfrost finishes it off. It's so nice.
So smart. That's so smart.
There's some really good stuff. I mean, Misfits was so alive in these team fights. Like they were dominant in the team fights. Let's be real. And this like 5,000 IQ kind of like delay in the late game. I mean, Lucka did everything he could. Then watch Agresivoo here. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy. They almost like get all the kills here as well. I think what's really heads up about that play there is in order to get into that play, the Gnar TP'd in, right? Which you might think makes a lot of sense. So he's TPing, he's buying time for Woolite. But if the call is to go in back door, you know, maybe you would just go and TP to the base, right, and try and help with the back door. So I think it just takes that extra step of thinking to really execute it properly. And Woolite doing Woolite thing. Look at that, man. 30k damage on the Tristana. I think honestly, like Tristana being so strong in the meta right now, and Woolite being Woolite, it's such a good champion for him. I think it's going to be something you've got to really take into consideration moving forward, as whether you want to leave that up, because they first picked it blind, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like it works really well for them.
Yeah, and I think end of the day, great game from both of our teams. I think it lived up to the hype that those two regions bring to the European Masters, especially after the rivalry they had in 2020. Let's take a look at what you've got coming in the second half of the day, though. You've got Sup Up, the team that actually beat out Misfits Premier in a crazy game going up against G2 Arctic. G2 Arctic coming through from the play-ins for the Spanish region. Following that, you're going to have Illumina, another seed from the Ultra Liga, taking on Mouse Sports. And then finally, you're going to have Mako taking on UCAM to round the day out. And those games will be brought to you by a different casting pair. Yes, not me and Foxy. We'll be leaving you here at this halfway point. We'll be handing the baton over to two wonderful casters in the form of Hiprain and Trouble. I'm very excited to see how they take us through those next three games. It's going to be a wild experience. I think there's some really big games on the cards. I'm very much looking forward to that Mouse Sports game as well. But Foxy, anything you want to just reflect on from the first three games? Anything that you're taking away, like strength of regions? I'm certainly taking away that the LFL looks very strong this European Masters once again.
Yeah, LFL is looking really poggies. Definitely got to keep your eyes on them. And I also think team fighting in general, like it's kind of been known that team fighting meta is in right now. But I think when we look at how teams were able to win, we saw it with Big versus Kick. They had the superior team fights, and Misfits versus Rogue. We just watched that game. Misfits versus Rogue as well came down to the team fights, and I think a team that comes ahead in the team fights often wins. Yeah,
it definitely looked like it's sort of team fighting comps are kind of the win, the bread and butter win right now. I'm just over the moon with how these first three games were. They really had a bit of everything, and I think there was a great climax of that last game as well. It was absolutely one that you need to go back and watch. If you missed that game, if you're literally tuning in right now to the European Masters, go back and watch the game that you just missed, or watch the next three games and then watch it later, because it was an absolute barnstormer. Like it was absolutely ludicrous. But look, I think our time is about done, Foxy. We're gonna get shoveled off to the old people's home now, the grandpas of esports that we are. So we'll see you soon. We're gonna hand you over to Hiprain and Trouble, and we'll see you next time.